NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Chris Coraggio. President Trump is congratulating his administration over the crime crackdown in Washington, D.C. Today, he said D.C. will soon be crime-free with the National Guard troops and federal officers on the streets. And also today, Trump said he's planning to ask Congress for an extension of the federalization of the local force in the nation's capital. The clock is already ticking on Trump's emergency powers over D.C. police that lasts for 30 days. Any extensions must be approved by Congress, and that's doubtful because he needs Democratic support. And President Trump says his virtual meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky was a 10. He said that's how he'd rate the call. That also included Vice President Vance and European allies. The call came prior to Trump's summit with Vladimir Putin Friday in Alaska. Trump said he will impose severe penalties on Russia if Putin won't agree to a deal. Zelensky has said that Ukraine won't give up any territory to Russia and will not give up trying to gain NATO membership. Russia has demanded Ukraine give up land to reach a deal to end the war. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
Oh no, my phone.
Hear that? It's the sound of a skater dropping her phone and smashing it on the ice. Yep, it's definitely broken. But at Verizon, we got you. This holiday, trade in any phone, any condition from one of our top brands and get a new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus on Unlimited Ultimate and Watch 7 and Tab S9 FE 5G. That's over $1,800 in value. So you'll save big on 3 great gifts. Only at Verizon. Service plan required for watch and tablet. Over $1,800 value based on phone, watch, and tablet. Trade in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
This segment sponsored by our radio listening post in Yucaipa. Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce, where you can get healthy in the heart of Yucaipa. You'll find locally sourced fresh fruit, vegetables, farm eggs, honey, fresh bread, nuts, and for your sweet tooth, delicious ice cream and locally produced candy from licorice to chocolates, all to your heart's content. It's Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce, just down the street from Toscano's Pizza, between 13th and 14th on Yucaipa Boulevard. Open every day, weekdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on weekends to 5 p.m. For more info, you can call 909-790-6106. That's 909-790-6106. Shop local with Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce. Tell them you heard it on this radio station and saw it on the DNA advertising screen inside the store. It's Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce.
Our sponsor, Applied Earthworks, serves the Inland Valley in Southern California for over 24 years, specializing in cultural resource management, an expert in archaeology, paleontology, architectural history, and historic preservation, making it possible to build for the future without sacrificing our cultural heritage. Learn more and see employment opportunities at appliedearthworks.com. Progress and preservation. Applied Earthworks supports our veterans.
Meet Barkley. When Barkley smells gas, he leaves fast. When Barkley hears hissing coming from a gas appliance, he leaves fast. When Barkley sees dirt or water shooting from the ground, he leaves fast. Barkley then calls 911 and Southwest Gas from a safe location.
Did that dog just grab a phone and dial 911?
Gas lines can be buried anywhere, so remember to call 911 and Southwest Gas.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary-Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
We're back with the Worker Power Hour. Randy Corrigan here, longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Good to see everybody back. We have a full studio today. We have a full set of guests today. Boy, it is going to be, we are going to be moving and shaking, and we are going to be rolling through an incredible show today. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in live. Don't forget, if you tune in live, you can tune in live while we're airing the show on the KCAA app. And don't forget, you can also always email us at radioshow@teamsters1932.org. And never forget that we're on KCAA 1050 AM as well as 106.5 FM. But this is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters Local 1932 Radio Network. With that, it's August 13th already. Boy, is time blowing by. Is it the 13th, right, Mark? I'm just making sure. I didn't hear you on the thing. So
you have to push that button.
You got to push your button. Yeah, sometimes we just fly here. So we're going to go right into live shout-outs. Love the fact, boy, we had a lot of, I forgot this week, we're supposed to give away another sweater. So if somebody listening in the building gets the sweater over here, we can hold it up. And, hey, did we do that, Robert? Last week. Yeah. But we didn't do it this week? We didn't tell everybody? Man, you're slacking. You're slacking.
You going to fire him?
No. God, you guys make it sound like I'm terrible.
Well, you fired me last show.
Well, you're here, so apparently right. Anyway. So we got live shout-outs here from all over. It's obviously we had a lot of fun with it last week. It was Lori Ryan who actually won. She was the fifth caller in on the live shout-outs who she was able to get the sweater.
Right.
Yeah. Did she give you any updates on her music from the station? Because she's a music
She hasn't
buff.
Complained. There's a positive in that.
That's
because Lori does not hold back.
That's true. That's true. So if we get silence from Lori, that means we're playing great music. So anyway, live shout-outs. We have Sharnika Freeman from SSS Highland Station, Eddie Ortiz from the Law and Justice Center. We also have Lizzie Sorcino from Public Health, Anthony Lucero from Vector Control, Gil Perez from Barstow City Public Works. We also have Jessica Villalobos from ARMC Patient Accounts, Lazaro Ramirez from ARMC Security. As always, Warren Pennington from Desert Water Agency, as well as Carol Ann Vega, James Estrada, Daniel Marburger, and Eli Salazar from the City of Redlands, Vicki Thompson from the City of Grand Terrace. And Vicki, thanks for the comment from our streaming our live show on Monday that we did, and we had AFGE on over the VA. So saw your comments. Thank you very much. Ben Warzel and Ed Knight from San Bernardino Fire District. Stephanie Hancock, Bernadette Guerrero, and Kathy Miller from County Superintendent of Schools. We also have Damini Travis from the Register of Voters, Anita Ruiz and Vanessa Batter, as well as Karen Vargas from ARMC. We got a long list of live listeners today. Susanna Young from an LVN from Probation Department, Joanne Lopez, Chaz Kelly from ARMC, Annabelle Fernandez and Office from the Housing Authority, Kirk Garrison and Mike Russ from Sheriff's Crime Lab. We also have Rochelle Silva from Colorado River Station listening in. That's pretty far away. She's going to be listening in later, works graveyard. Thanks for flagging that. So she's not technically live, but hey, man, she's probably getting some rest right now. We will give her that shout out. Krista Cunner, she's listening in live from ARMC, Upland Housing Authority Office, San Bernardino Housing Authority Office, Victorville Housing Authority Office, and Olivia Gabera from ARMC. And we just saw one pop on the screen, IATSE, Local 122, listening in live. We love the fact that this show is actually, starting to be carried by a lot of other labor organizations, other unions. And what I'm hopeful that happens is that other unions do the same thing, other organizations do the same thing, and it'd be great to have a radio station that was all labor all the time, and that you could hear from IBEW, you can hear from other unions, obviously the Teamsters. We're a little Teamster-centric here, gee, I wonder why, but we do clearly report on everything that's going on. And so, again, thanks for listening live, and if I can get a sweater over here to hold up, what we will do is we'll do the fifth caller. So if I've got someone at the building listening in right behind me, and we'll at a certain point, we'll do a fifth caller. If you're the fifth caller to the desk, you'll end up winning that sweater because you're listening in live. And this is a lot of fun that we're having with it. Also, getting a lot of positive feedback on the radio show itself, and the fact that we have a lot of listeners to the music with the Worker Power Radio Network, and I'm actually getting a lot of positive feedback on the music it's playing, and that the music that's coming in is a good selection. It's kind of relaxing. You just kind of listen to it. It's not, I don't really think we have a lot of hard rock on it, so it doesn't get everybody intense with their anxiety up, but I get it. Some people like that, and some people don't. And we're going to have a survey going out here pretty soon so that we kind of get an idea. Do you want to add something on this, Mark? We're going to start doing dedications, and we're going to, like the old Art LeBeau show and all that stuff, right? Like a bunch of guys are giggling right now because everybody remembers that from back in the day, right? Like, the little love letters to everybody. So, and if you're watching, I got these two cool guys sitting to my right here on the screen. It's to your left from the Stater Brothers warehouse. They're currently in bargaining right now. We're going to be talking to them at about 2:30. Getting some feedback as to what's going on. I have a little bit of history with, what happened out there over the years. So really excited to have them on the show and hear about all the great things that they're doing to keep the members engaged. And we'll hear from you guys in a few minutes. I know the two of you love to talk. I've known you your entire careers at Stater Brothers, by the way. And our member highlight, the next part of the show is our member highlight. The first one is the City of Rialto, the job of payroll analyst. We have two individuals that do that job. It's Terry Diaz and Freddie Nunez, that they process the whole payroll for the city, from council to police department. These folks don't get paid unless other folks don't get paid unless the Teamster members do the payroll. Similar to what you guys experience at Stater Brothers. Obviously, the payroll department at Stater Brothers are Teamsters too. And so everybody in the organization depends on a Teamster to make sure that they're getting paid correctly. And that means when something is incorrect, it's a Teamster that gets yelled at pretty quickly. The other is administrative technician for the city of Fontana. Andrea Palacios is one of the individuals that does that job. And that position collects all the rents on city leased properties and puts liens on unpaid bills on businesses and homes to obviously collect and make sure that revenue stream is regular. And what we like to do is obviously highlight jobs, and we like to make sure that all the listeners understand and respect the different types of jobs that are out there. And one of the pieces that we do in this is we have Teamster Tuesdays, and we like to highlight Teamster jobs out there. As you can see on most of our social media platforms, we push that message out there, and we like to explain to the rest of the world how important these Teamster jobs are. And so if you would like your job highlighted, or you know of somebody that you would like highlighted, or know of a job you would like highlighted that's a Teamster job, make sure you email us at radioshow@teamsters1932.org. Every Tuesday, we highlight a member on our social media, and we show the public how important that work is for our members. And you can follow us on 1932 Teamsters. As well as this last Tuesday, we highlighted Warren Pennington, who is an operations technician too with the Desert Water Agency. Think about this, around the Inland Empire and the desert areas, most of the water that is coming in or out. So in other words, you turn on the faucet, water comes in, or you flush the toilet and it goes bye-bye. That water is being managed one way or another by a lot of Teamsters and almost 100% union members, making sure that you're not dying from cholera, making sure that your water is not poisoned. And I know that, in today's day, a lot of people drink this, but, there was a day when you couldn't drink anything out of the faucet because it literally would kill you. And and millions of people died. I always use water as an example, and we appreciate the work that Warren does in this space. Our Teamster members that work in water, they're not just in an air-conditioned place opening and closing valves. I mean, think about it. Desert Water Agency is out in Palm Desert and Palm Springs. They're out in that desert. It's 110, 115 degrees. You're in the direct sun. It's 130, 140 degrees. It is hot. It is hard work. Sometimes you're right there in the street having to open something up, fix something, deal with a pipe, whether it's incoming or outgoing. And we really appreciate the work that is done in this space. We have a tendency in today's day, in modern days, to take for granted how the water comes in or how services get to us every day, and then how they also leave. I love the water thing because it's water coming in safe and water going out, because you don't want the stuff that you flush down the toilet to be hanging out too long. You're trying to make it go bye-bye as quickly as possible. And there's a whole team of people to make sure that happens. And we really appreciate you to keep track of this and make sure that we're all on top of this. We also have Ryan Frankie listening in live from the desert. What am I missing here, you guys?
We have a winner.
It already happened?
Oh, it's that fast.
Oh my goodness! But I didn't. I was saying wait until the sweater. Put the sweater up. We have Beatrice Garcia listening in live as well. Thank you, Beatrice, for listening in live. Hopefully, I'm sorry if I missed you. Do we have a name? Do you want to say the name?
Michelle.
Oh, is it in here?
Michelle sent it
We
on
have a
Slack.
winner. Well, but I don't see the name.
Hey,
Oh,
Michelle,
she's
what's
typing
the name?
Well, see, you called my attention to it, and we don't. And I don't have I can't announce it yet. See, this is what happens when you're live, right? You can't mess up. And by the way, Joe, you can't cuss when we get on live here in a few minutes. I already warned Leanos over here.
I'm better now.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well,
I have an assistant on the dump button.
Right there. Oh.
Veronica Gutierrez from Public Health, listening in live, just won the sweater. Congratulations, Veronica. I love how everybody jumped the gun. They must have just started calling the front desk because I said when I announce it. Apparently they thought I announced it. So, hey, Veronica, good for you. I'm glad you called in and you were the fifth caller.
That's awesome.
It's
though.
fun, man. I love this. See, that means we this is the engagement we're looking for. And with that, the next part of the show, I'd like to roll into some victories, things that our staff is doing around the organization, making sure that you all understand that, say, if you're listening and you're not union, you understand, like, these are the things that are happening every day in union environments. If you are a 1932 member or you're a member from any other union out there, these are the things that staff is doing on a regular basis, and this is what's going on. Some of the little things that are going on in 1932. There was a location, we had a broken AC in an office, and members were told that telework was not available yet, and so the supervisor, even though the supervisor was teleworking, we got on it, and guess what? We were able to get the members to telework as well. Hey, the supervisor's going to be chilling in the air conditioning. We got to make sure our members are too. I know my guys in the warehouse over here saying, "What? What you talking about? We don't get no air conditioning." We'll get into that in a few minutes. We represented Teamsters at National Night Out. A Teamster business agent served as both a judge and a presenter at the 8th annual brisket cook-off in the Rialto community with plenty of members present. We successfully got a member back to work after their accommodation request and was denied. We also had the county team who have successfully signed up 110 new members this month, strengthening our collective power. We held a state-led multi-agency training for cannabis and for code enforcement here at the local union just a few days ago, as well as a very successful VO training on Saturday. A lot of members showed up and learned how not to sell their union. We had at KSBD, we had nearly 40 children were able to get school supplies for the new school year donated in a school supply drive by our members here at 1932. So congratulations to everybody that chipped in and helped out there. We really appreciate that work. At DAX 5, at Amazon DAX 5, as the heat climbs this season, drivers marched on the boss this Monday, demanding that Amazon provide safer working conditions, including lower route counts, stocked first aid kits, and protective gloves. And we successfully argued a complaint made about a member based on something that was baseless, and the department determined it was unfounded, working now to have the complaint completely removed from the file. And so, is that the sweater? Here's a sweater that Veronica won. Great job. It's good to see that. Man, you guys are on it today. You guys are making it happen in here. Those are our victories. Those are the little things that are going around the organization. We actually had about another 20, 25 more, but it's actually too much to read. I just took some quick highlights. In Teamster news, many of you may have already heard this, but I just want to take a minute to really drill down on it. I really got to hand it to the general president and the leadership of this organization for being really aggressive right now. Mid-contract at UPS, there's a bunch of issues that were outstanding, and there was essentially almost a strike at UPS on Tuesday, which would have been yesterday. And it was avoided because UPS, and I'll read the headline here in a minute, UPS ultimately bowed and conceded to the things that needed to be changed. And as I'll read the news release, United Parcel Service bowed to a credible, coordinated strike threat authorized by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters around midnight after the union demanded the multi-billion-dollar corporation cease multiple attacks on workers' rights. With picket lines ready to assemble in the early morning hours Tuesday across 7 states, the Teamsters secured a handful of settlements from UPS on outstanding grievances, as well as the first contract for newly organized workers. At the direction of the General President, Sean M. O'Brien, Teamsters were prepared to strike at UPS at its largest air hub in Worldport, which is in Louisville, Kentucky, and across the Chicago area, and extend picket lines to California, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Ohio if UPS did not retreat. So congratulations to those workers. It is really good to see. It's good to see the assertive approach and really thinking outside the box to exercise worker power when we can. And yeah, I got to admit, I was kind of hoping the picket line would go up. I was wanting to see the air operation kind of fall apart for UPS for a day and watch them scramble and try to figure out how to manage that. You know, I think that every now and then that's got to kind of happen for everybody to realize the power that workers have and how effective and how valuable our work really is on a regular basis. In other Worker Power Hour news, as I reported last week, actually didn't report last week because it happened after our show. I think that people are afraid to do things right before our show because we're going to report on it. Yeah. I'm just kidding. We're not that popular. I'm just talking a little bit of smack. Literally, right after our show was over, it was announced that collective bargaining was canceled for VA workers, Veterans Affairs workers, and almost 500,000 workers lost their collective bargaining rights last week. Like it's just unacceptable. Also, on Friday, the EPA terminated federal union contracts. The Environmental Protection Agency said on Friday it would no longer recognize its federal unions, and all collective bargaining agreements are terminated effective immediately. That's bad. That's not good. That's taken away our First Amendment right, our freedom to assemble, our freedom of speech at work. That has taken away our ability to exercise those rights and to exchange in a fair setting. I'm actually, later on in the show, I'm going to have Dennis Hayes on the show, and we're going to talk about some legal ramifications and really, what workers can do to deal with this. But, these are some pretty interesting times right now. And as workers, we have got to rise to the occasion. We have got to understand that we need to withhold our labor at certain points and certain times, because it was those that withheld their labor many, many decades ago that won the right for us to have collective bargaining. And we can't just kind of ignore this and say, oh, well, it's not me. Those are federal workers. They're overpaid. They're this, they're that. There's a lot of people finding out right now how important those services are. And unfortunately, people don't realize until they're gone. And if somebody can take away any worker's right to collectively bargain, that means yours is at threat at some point too. An injury to one is an injury to all. In other news, a city workers union ends its strike in Marin County. A local union representing maintenance workers, building inspectors, parks and recreation coordinators, city planners, and office assistants in Navajo ended, and that's up in Marin County, which is Northern California for those that don't know, ended on Friday after negotiations resumed. SEIU 1021 begun the strike on August 5th, but returned to the bargaining table on Thursday and are scheduled to meet again Wednesday to continue negotiations towards labor agreements. So it sounds like what they've done is they've probably made some, inroads while they were out. Figured, let's get to the table, let's get everybody back to work, and hopefully we can come to an agreement. SEIU 10-1 reported a severe recruitment and retention crisis. 1 in 5 of their represented employees has been with the city less than 5 years. The union had reported that means there's extremely high turnover. Navisto voters approved Measure M in November of 2024, replacing a prior sales tax. This measure is projected to generate $10 million annually for local priorities, including public safety, emergency response, repairs, parks, facilities, maintenance. SEIU 10-1 is claiming Navisto City Council is refusing to follow through on that promise. Look, I get it, man. People don't want to pay more in taxes. But the reality is, you dial 911, somebody answers the phone. If you want corporate America in control of the situation, when you dial 911, someone's going to say, hold, please. I need to check to see if you paid. Let me check your status first. We'll get to your emergency in a minute. I don't care that your house is burning down. And for those of you that don't know, if we're just too spoiled to recognize, up until about 70 or 80 years ago, that's the way it all worked in communities. You had to pay independently for police service. You had to pay independently for fire service. And if you didn't pay, they would put the fire hose on the house next to you, make sure it didn't burn because they were paying, but yours is going to burn to the ground. And everybody kind of got together and said, oh, maybe we have a little bit of tax that we pay to make sure this stuff's taken care of. Schools, roads, all this different stuff. Water coming in, water going out, flushing the toilet, the bad stuff go bye-bye. These are things that our tax dollars make sure the infrastructure is in place. So I get it. I get that the message is out there, but, when we're born into a society that has everything, it's very easy to say, no, get rid of that. I want a few more bucks in my pocket. Think about what you're trading off. Think about who's negatively affected and or what services are negatively affected by it. Anyway, so it's good to see that they're back at the table, and hopefully that gets resolved. And the last thing I'll point out in IBT news is Teamsters at Santa Rosa School District ratified their first contract. Custodian supervisors at the Santa Rosa School District in California, represented by Teamsters Local 665, have unanimously voted to ratify their first collective bargaining agreement. The new agreement addresses key issues for Teamsters at the Santa Rosa School District, including increased job protections, additional holidays, the ability to bid on school sites, and binding arbitration in the event of a dispute. Most people don't realize that in public sector, not only do most people not receive Social Security benefits, they also don't have a binding arbitration dispute resolution. So it's like recommended arbitration that a council or a governing body can kind of override the decision of an arbitrator. And so this is a big win. Most people might just gloss over that, but those of us that have to deal with this space know that this is an important victory for those workers in Santa Rosa, at the Santa Rosa School District. A quote, we work hard and this contract has helped us secure the significant improvements that we deserve, said Michael Stafford, a local 665 shop steward. I'm proud to have been part of this effort to improve our work conditions and our lives. Congratulations to those workers up there. We really, really appreciate you sticking together and making it happen and being part of the process. With that, I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to move to the next part of the show. We don't need to take a break because I know once I turn this mic over to these two individuals, I can take a deep breath and actually drink some water because they're going to talk. You guys work at the Stater Brothers warehouse literally right down the street. And the first thing I want to say to you is, man, that is hard work. Thank you for what you do, making sure that groceries get to 146 stores in the network in all of these neighborhoods that millions of people depend on every day. And though the rest of the community may take for granted that somehow these products magically appear on the shelves in their grocery store, it's not magic. It's actually hard work that gets it there. And one of the first spots or first places in that system is in the distribution center itself, which is here in San Bernardino, California, which is right down the street. The work that you do in there, you're working in a very hot environment. It's actually a very fast-paced environment. You do make pretty good money and get rewarded for it. You have great benefits, but it's hard work and it's tough. And right now, you're currently in bargaining. And I'll get into some of the details of the job in a minute, but what I'd like you to do is introduce yourselves real quick and how long you've worked there and what job you currently do. Llanos?
My name is
Got to get close to that mic.
My name is Antonio Llanos. I've been at Stater Brothers 24 years, coming up in October. I'm a forklift driver. I'm part of the receiving crew. We receive all the produce, all the fruits, and I'm on day shift. And luckily for me, I got AC in my warehouse.
Yeah, because you're in the perishable side.
Yes. That's why I'm wearing a sweater still. So.
And I'm Joe Garcilazo.
Joe, you do not work in the cold side.
No, sir.
You never have. You like the heat. You're like me. You like the heat.
We call it the rock, you know. It's the hardest department. It's the dry, you know. So we pull all the dry selection on that. I'm Joe Garcilazo. Been with the company 29 years as a Teamster. Steward for 2 years, and it's hard work, you know. So, but Monday through Friday, great benefits, you know. I enjoy doing what I do.
What's your job description?
Order selector. So I pull all the orders. All those things are on the shelf right now. I pull all the orders.
Like all of them for the whole company?
All of them for pretty much.
For every
you
do everything that's on every single shelf in the whole company.
90% of it. 90%. I got Llanos. He's got to do the receiving part of it.
That's what I love about your arrogance. I love that. That confidence. It's good, man. Yeah, I did it. That's right. Almost all that product in those 150 stores, I pulled it.
Right.
And well, at some point, you probably touched both of you have touched every product in the operation at some point, right?
Yeah.
At some point, yeah.
What's your favorite part of the job? I know it's a tough job. We'll get into the tough part of it here in a minute, but what's the most rewarding part? Or maybe what do you love about being a Teamster?
I think it's the fact that we have the peace of mind. You know what I mean? We know we're not going to get reprimanded or get fired for making one little mistake. You know, like we go do our work, and we're not perfect, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like I know we have to do our job. And so far, for 24 years, has helped me and my family raise my kids. So, you know, I love it.
Joe?
For myself, I feel like the operation is just like it's my own business. You know, the Stater Brothers has been great to us Teamsters, and just the operation runs itself, you know, and being a Teamster, you know that management's not going to mess around with you, not try to disrespect you. I can go in, do my job, and you know, as long as I'm doing my job, there's no problem, you know. And then when it comes to be a problem, then we have the Teamsters alignment. We're all union. We all come together, solidarity, and I love about that going in my job. You know, I go in, do my time, and I get paid every week. You know, and you know, I pay my union benefits for representation if I ever get in a situation, and I'm guaranteed a pension after my career. Coming up on 30. You know, my peer 80 right now. I can retire next year. And I'm excited, you know. I can still keep going. After this contract, when we get more money and everything, I might stay another 5 years.
Out of all the years, obviously you're an order selector. You've done other jobs. Obviously, you've decided to stay an order selector. With that much seniority, you could clearly do other things.
Right.
Why do you stay an order selector?
People say I'm crazy, but I love doing what I do. I just love doing what I do. I even though it's maybe physical, maybe hard, I just... You know,
that's why you're in such good shape.
Look
at you over there, man.
I love it. People think I'm crazy, but I love doing what I do, and like nobody messes with me. I go in there and make my money. I mean, I can still do it physically. I like it. I love it. You know, and people say I'm crazy about it, but that's the only thing I've done in my whole career.
So let's break down order selector. What happens is, you know, you start your day, you clock in, you get your pallet check. It used to be a tugger back in the day.
Yes, sir.
Back in my day. Anyway, you know, you get your pallet check, you roll over. In the headset, like kind of like what you got on now, gives you an indication of an order, and then it tells you, hey, you know, this is where it's at. It's location in the operation, and essentially you got to grab a case, you got to set it on the pallet, and you got to stack it, and you got to keep doing that. over and over
Over
and
and
over
over
and
and
over and
over.
over and over and over and
All
over
day
and
long.
over and over all day long.
Yeah.
You know, to the count of thousands of cases. And go ahead.
In the heat.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
and it gets hot.
And it gets hot.
This is, unless you're over with them.
Yeah.
Because you got the seniority to now go to the air
I do.
conditioning side.
I do. I just love doing what I do, though. I mean, it's great. You know, there's nothing more to say about it. It's great.
What are your favorite aisles? Picking what product? What do you feel
everybody's-
like you can blow through the best?
17. They call me the paper boy. You know, it's just
Yeah, well,
paper.
come on, it's
You
paper.
know, I don't know. It's paper, I guess. You know.
Back in my day, paper was 30-31. I don't know if you guys remember Barton when it was on 30-31.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a long time ago.
Long time ago. I was there with you. I mean, well, before you. I mean, after you. I was there. But 17's the owl now for
17,
us.
17.
Yeah, so.
Llanos, how about you? You know, what's your favorite area to pull when you were pulling? Or did you pull?
No, I did pull. I pulled.
I mean, did you really pull? I'm just kidding.
I did.
Remember, I represented you, buddy.
I know.
How's your business
Yeah,
agent?
I pulled a fast one a couple of No, I used to pull it to, you know, I got the seniority to get a forklift. So I was like, I'll let the machine do the heavy lifting instead of, you know, my back.
Right. What's your obviously you're imperishable now. What's your kind of your preferred, because you know, like you said, you like to be in this particular area, and what I've always found over the years is you know, obviously having some history there, is that people gravitated to a particular area, and doesn't necessarily mean it's the easiest, right? Yeah. It's what you liked. It's right. what that individual liked, and sometimes you scratched your head and said, man, why does Llanos like that stuff? But hey, right. It's good for you. What's your favorite area?
On the forklift side, I think the majority of it is produce, because it's light. The light boxes, you know, you don't.
Watermelons are light.
We consider that Palm Springs. That's, you know,
a little tougher.
A little bit tougher. I'm talking about like the boxes of salad, so they're lighter, so you don't have to keep getting a battery change so often. You know,
I'm hearing something here. I want to get on a forklift because I want that to do the work, and then I'm in this area because I want it's lighter boxes. You know, working smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah.
I got you.
Unless you start finding out, like I said, the heavier the pallet, it's going to drain your battery faster. So you don't want to be going to the battery room every hour and a half to, you know, you just want to continue working. So you try to go to the lighter side and make it last, make your battery last.
And how long you been on a lift?
Since like almost 15 years.
15 years. Isn't it crazy? Time's just blown by.
Yeah.
Blown by. What's your favorite shift? You know, I always trip out on the ones that have a lot of seniority, but then land on graveyard and stay on graveyard.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, what happens is people just kind of, they build their life around it, and they're good with it, and that's what they want. And sometimes they got kids in the house, mama's, you know, taking care of them at this point, and they're taking care of them at that point, and there's a transition happening and all that good stuff. What's your guys' favorite shifts?
I think we're lucky at Stater Brothers that we can bid every year.
You can go wherever you want.
What department, what shift, graveyard. Because I had to go to graveyard for like 3 years once my youngest started preschool. You know, they do that whole 2-hour TK thing. So I had to go to graveyard. And, you know, once she got out of the grade, I went back to days.
See, non-union people are listening to this going, what? I can do what? You mean, I don't just get told where I'm going? Like, I actually get to say so and where
exactly.
I go?
And a lot of people do that. They base their work schedule around their family schedule.
Oh, I used to remember, obviously I haven't been involved in your annual bid lately in many years, but I used to remember, you know, everybody that's on the cusp, they could have 15, 20, 25 years, but if you're on the cusp of whatever that scenario was for seniority, because you could have a ton of juice, but that department's completely, you know, piled up. And it's like, man, this is what I got to do because this is what I got going on at home. And I missed it by one, or I got it. I got the last spot. Or, you know, you guys are shaking your head because you're thinking about your own individual situation.
When we were on that cusp, it's like, oh, am I going to get that day shift? Am I going to get that money through Friday?
Well, I remember times that the two of you walked out of that bid room going, that one, this is wrong. Randy, this is right.
Yeah, we were all there.
Then the next year, you're like, okay, I'm okay, man.
Yeah.
Just got to put your time in, you know. Just the one good thing with Staters and having contracts is like the flexibility, you know. Work day shift, graveyard, and then when you get to that seniority point, it's just kind of like you can go anywhere you want, you know. And I think it's great. And I think it's great when people have families or they're taking care of people. They can go to that graveyard shift or stay on that day shift if they want to. Even part timers, they may not be full timers, but part timers at least get to bid. They get to bid twice a year. and they get to be able to say, hey, I want to work days or I want to work nights, and they go by seniority. So if day fills up, of course, everybody gets forced to graveyard, and goes to nights. But the flexibility, even part-timers have the flexibility. So I think it's really great flexibility on that.
But the last 2 years, the part-time has been weird because graveyard has been getting full. We've been forcing guys to work day shift.
Yeah.
Before it was the totally opposite.
What?
Yeah.
Forcing them to work day shift. What's
Yes.
going on?
Yeah, everything's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. They're
It's
like,
weird.
And then the first one that gets forced on day shift, and you hear that, I scratch my head and go, I remember when almost everything was on swing and graveyard.
Yes.
Back in the day, it was almost all on swing and graveyard, right? And you almost nobody could get to day shift, right? So to see that kind of flip, and then the first person complained that they got forced to day shift, you go,
Scratching your head.
yeah, you're scrolling. Wait a minute, I don't understand this. Like, how is this happening? I don't understand.
It's even changed to a point now. Those tough jobs that you could never touch, your sanitation job, your foreman jobs, although now all those jobs are low seniority guys are taking those jobs because everybody's out there trying to make more money and enjoy doing what they're doing. It's like it's
getting
changed
incentive,
now.
earning some time off, right?
Yeah, it's
building their
changed
schedule
drastically now. So it's like guys with a couple of years, they're now loaders or they're sanitation. It's like that was never heard of before. You'd had to have 25 years plus before you can touch those type of jobs.
Gotta love a union environment.
Gotta
man.
love it.
I gotta love it. One of the things that always, in every union environment, whether it's Staters or anywhere, I can always refer to Staters because obviously it's where I started my career, and then obviously dealt with the contract for 20 years. Is the dynamic that hearing you, Joe, or you argue when you were a part-timer, your argument about seniority, to then hear your argument now at this stage.
Yes.
And, I do want you to know you've been hypocrites a bit from time to time. And you're laughing at me right now because
your point of view changes.
You're like, wait a minute, man. Now, then when you're in the middle of the road, you're like, oh, no, it's got to be like this. And then when you get to the top, you go, well wait a minute here, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, man, you guys can't argue all three spots.
Exactly.
But you do.
Yeah.
And I'm having a good time with that.
Yeah.
I obviously appreciate it. That's what I love about having the union environment. People in the non-union environment, they don't get to argue about this.
Yes.
And how does that make you feel seeing millions of people out there that are in a non-union environment doing the same work you're doing and obviously getting crushed?
It's sad. It's sad to see because if we don't pay attention to it, they might drag us down to that level. If we're the only ones being the Teamster in that city and that county, before you know it, we might be the last ones. So,
Joe, what do you got to say on that?
I just feel like with unions trying to get, smaller and smaller. I go back to you, Randy, when back in the day, and you're still part of it, is organize, and organize. And I've been part of that.
Grow. Right?
And I've been part of that. And it's kind of like, God, it is one of the hardest jobs ever about being a Teamster and trying to organize people that are non-union, because it's like you're trying to show them, hey, this is what I got, and we're trying to get you that. But these people get scared. They're like, hey, I'm doing two jobs and I'm too scared to leave that. And you're trying to show them a different path. Like, hey, we're trying to organize you. We want you to become union. These are all these benefits that we're getting. And it's hard to convince. I agree with you, Randy. Like back in the day, even till now, it's like organizing is the hardest thing to try to convince somebody to go union, because they're afraid, and they don't believe it, and you get all these union busters that want to break up and put pressure on them and saying they're going to lose their job, and I understand that, because they got families and stuff like that.
But they got to rise to the occasion, because we
sir.
can't allow fear to get in our way in these spaces. So, and with that, let's transition a little bit here. You're currently in bargaining right now. Matter of fact, I think you guys had a day of bargaining today, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so obviously, you all know how I work. I worked with you for many years. I don't want to talk about what's specifically happening in bargaining. That's not the purpose of coming on the show. The purpose is to talk about why it's important to stick together while we're bargaining, right? Like making sure that solidarity, and we're not undermining each other, and we're not, beating each other up, or, that we're making sure that we're unified, because we want to be firm and fair at the same time. Would you agree?
I agree.
So tell me the dynamic. You guys have been through, many contract fights over the years. I know you appreciate the company, but you also know that you got a process to go through with bargaining right now.
Yes.
And part of that process is making sure that the membership is all on the same page. And one of the things I think you guys enjoy there is you got a good, strong membership. They work hard. They're the hardest working. Look, I've been all over the industry. I've represented almost every company. Actually, I have represented just about every company in the industry at one time or another. And there is no other you're the hardest working group in the industry by far. Now, there's reasons for that, and you get compensated on the incentive program and the standard and all that. However, you guys come in, you smash, you get it done, and you get out. And like you said, you get in there, you enjoy it, you want to pound through it, but you also want to make sure that's fair too, right? So why don't you talk about that dynamic and how being in bargaining right now, what it means to you, being part of that process, being at the table, knowing that the membership has your back, knowing that you guys are wearing shirts to show solidarity. What are the things that you're doing inside? I know I've asked you 3 or 4 questions. I'm just kind of throwing stuff at you to say, hey, let listeners feel what it's like to be on this bargaining committee for Stater Brothers Warehouse, as well as what it's like to be in that operation.
Well, I think Stater Brothers.
Got to get a little closer to that mic. There you go.
I think we're pretty united at Stater Brothers. We're on the same page. We all want, what's fair. This is like, for me personally, I walked into a Teamster job, you know what I mean? So pretty much you could say everything was handed to me by people before
us.
Yes.
Yep.
So now, we try to give back and, and fight for what's right, and that's what we're going to do, that being united.
And you want to give it to the next generation.
Yes.
Make sure that you don't sell out the next generation. In addition to those that worked hard or struck or did what they did before us,
Yes.
for us to walk into a job. I did at 18, right, when I
Yeah.
went to work there, and had this great benefits and great everything. We inherited it. We have an obligation to make sure that someone else inherits it from us. Joe, what you?
Right. I mean, with this new contract coming up, it's my first contract. I think Leonis' first contract we've ever negotiated with a company, because we're both on the committee. We got voted as stewards, we got voted in to be part of the committee now to negotiate the contract for the members. And I've told this member, I'm not saying out too much, but this is the first time the company has ever come to the local 63 and met. And that says a big part for how strong we are as Teamsters, and the type of working relationship we have with the company, for them to come and express that we have this type of respect for one another, and they're on the same page as far as like negotiating a contract with us, and a fair contract at that. We all know that we're not trying to starve out the company, because we starve out the company and
We want them to be profitable.
and then the company goes under, then we all lose. There's no longer Stater Brothers, no more Teamsters, there's no more benefits of all that stuff. So, well, with that being said, it's exciting. We've had the big bosses come down and talk to us, and that's never happened before. I've never seen that before, and so I think it's great. What was our other question? Do you have another question on that? I can't remember. Did I answer everything? There's a bunch. I'm trying not to say too much.
I know. So talk about the solidarity a little bit amongst your peers, right? You get back to work. What are some of the things that you're doing to show solidarity with one another? Obviously, I can see you guys are wearing the same shirt. There's other actions. I know you guys have, before you've kind of shut down a shift, and everybody comes to the front and calls out supervision and says, hey, we're all standing behind our bargaining team. We've all had a lot of fun with this stuff over the years. But what are you doing? What's happening live in there right now? What's that kind of stuff?
Well, we're laughing.
Something you can talk about. Remember, keep your hand close to that button over there.
No, it's funny. We're laughing because it happened today.
Oh, good.
We all, we all showed up outside the supervisor's office, and we started honking our horns. And right away I started getting the phone calls from, upper management. Hey, what's going on? What they're mad about. And pretty much like, no, we're just letting you know we're united and we're here. And, what the shirt says, fool around, find out. That's pretty much the message we wanted to send.
I'm glad you said the clean version. I was looking to see if
I said the PG-13 one.
I was making sure that Mark over there was ready to push that button.
I got a twitch.
When we have Kamek on the show, we got to push the dump button regularly. Believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Randy, he slips in that word every now and then. We're like, You know, because, you know, Randy's Randy. You know, he's great, right? He walks through this, and then all of a sudden we go, oh, and he just rolls right through it, man. Anyway, what else you got? What?
I don't know. I like what Leon
That's
said.
fun today. So you had the whole shift shut down.
Yeah.
Everybody comes up, blows the horns, pulls them out. Like, hey, man, like we're mean business. We're all sticking together.
Yeah, we got their attention, and like I said, we're fair about it. It was only like 5-10 minutes, so we didn't slow the crew down. We didn't, you know, we're not going to go overtime over it.
I just had someone text me, what does FAFO on their shirt stand for? So it's coming through here in a couple of these platforms.
Yeah, it's fool around and find out. That's
and then they text back and went, okay, LOL, I just heard it.
Yeah.
You doing shirts on a particular day? You doing actions outside the facility?
So we got shirts going on. We try to show solidarity, do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I feel like now we started our first negotiation on Monday. And, you know, rolling into today. So now we're going to start doing it probably every day now. We're going to get more solidarity, show that represent, you know. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and then
couple things.
Many years ago we did something similar, and then a group internally with the same group did this little one, how many times they can wear the shirt without washing it.
Right.
You guys remember that one?
Inside out, outside out. Whatever you're going to do is like.
Some of the shirts, they got a bit right, man. They got a bit rough.
Hey, but solidarity though, I can't hate on that though.
No, everybody's having fun with it.
You got to be able to do it, you know, and represent, you know, put every differences aside, and we all got to come together. And all these proposals that the members put together, you know, we're going to address those things. Nothing different on the outside. Exactly what the members want to propose is what we're going to bring up, and we all got to be together.
And let's unpack that for a minute, because remember, a lot of people listening, you know, it's on AM and FM. It's streaming. There's thousands of people that are listening that aren't sure of what that means. What that means is that the members get surveyed on what they're looking to have change in their collective bargaining agreement with the employer. Those surveys come in, the staff evaluates them, looks at them, identifies what's going to float to the top of what's the most common, the common thread of issues, and then those are then built, a proposal is built and then generated to make to the employer and say, hey, we'd like to have this change or move in this direction on the subject.
Yes.
And without getting into the specifics, because I never like to release anything until we're done. You know, so I absolutely respect and I've always bargained that way. I think it's dangerous to start talking a little bit about this and that, and rumor mills run amok. But again, it's good to have listeners understand that process and what it means. What's your favorite part of the contract? In other words, what's your best? What do you think is the most important provision, Joe, in your contract?
I think it's going to be the economics part of it. For me, it's going to be that. I mean, for just the world we're in right now, and just what the members are looking for, and I think everybody.
I'm not talking about bargaining right now. Okay. I'm talking about in your existing contract. Obviously, you say, "I want my money." I got you. We all got you there.
Right. Existing prior to our other contract, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying just the contract as a whole. What's in place now?
Can I cut in?
Yeah, go ahead. Of course you can. You got a mic in front of you. Cut in any time.
Well, I don't want to
You're not
interrupt
shy.
them. I don't want to interrupt them. But I think for me, it's like a grievance. If we disagree on
grievance
something,
procedure,
a supervisor, you know, just writes us up or whatever. Like, wait a minute, I didn't do what you're accusing me of. I'm going to follow.
And you got a right to pull them into a meeting. Huh?
Exactly.
You got a right to sit them down.
Exactly.
You got a right to argue your position.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the part.
And they have to answer you.
Yes.
Remember, there's all kinds of people listening that think this is fantasy land.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's why to me it's the grievance part. Like
It
I
is.
said,
That's actually that's a very important part.
So you know, and I have a couple thrown away, you know, on me because like I didn't do what you're accusing me of doing, and sure enough, they didn't. So just threw it away.
And what's the whole adage of union members are lazy?
Oh no, it's a bad rap that we get. I don't know why or how we got it.
It's a BS narrative. I almost said it. I almost had to get dumped. It's just a narrative that's created to make unions look bad. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Because if there's lazy workers, it's the employer's responsibility to deal with it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
What's your favorite part of the contract?
I agree with him about the grievance. That's as being a steward for only 2 years. It's nice to know that we can represent the members if they're being accused of something or if something's not right. We can put up that argument. It's almost like we're part-time lawyers, and I love it where we can have that
Easy, I got a lawyer in the room.
You know, and then we have other people in place that if we can't get anywhere there, and then that's when we call in our business agent, Augie Luna, to help us out with this. And if we have to sit down the company and bring their bosses down, we bring our bosses down to negotiate whatever the issue is on our grievances. And that's just unheard of, you know. And I totally agree with Leonis. That's one of the best parts that we have, and to negotiate something like that.
You know, one of my favorite parts of any contract, and specifically yours, is the timeliness. Because remember, the grievance procedure, you've got a certain amount of time to file a grievance, right?
Yes.
And then there's always this timeliness on you. You got a certain amount of time to deliver. You got a certain pick this. You got to do this. Put this away, right?
Yeah, right.
But the fact that the company has a certain amount of time to issue you discipline, that they got to do it within a certain window, right? Like non-union people are listening to this right now, going, "What? What do you mean they got a certain amount of time?" Yeah, they can't cherry pick, and months later, weeks later, say, "Oh, you know, you did this back in March, and it's August."
Yeah,
they can't do that. Like for me, that's one of the. I love that because you're like, what took you so long to get to it? Right. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
That too, along with what the infractions, right? You can't be going
the steps of discipline.
Steps of discipline.
You know, they got to follow the steps of discipline. They can't, on their first time, it's a warning, right? They can't just suspend you on the first time. Like, wait a minute. There's no.
See, non-union people are hearing this going, what?
You never gave me a warning. You didn't give me a written warning, a verbal warning, nothing. You just got.
And how many people have been restored back to work, or the issue's been resolved as a result of them not stepping properly?
A lot
have.
So what kind of message, we just got about 3 minutes here, a little more than 3 minutes. What message do you want to send to other people or the members you're working with, or all the guys? Hey, by the way, all you listening from there, I love you. It's my home. That's where I came from.
That's right.
I miss you guys. Love being around you. Really, really appreciate you coming in. You guys are welcome anytime. Just let me know you want to get in here, and I'll bump somebody off the show. Hey, it's my show. Isn't that cool? I get to do what I want, man. That's kind of cool. Anyway, what do you want to say to everybody?
No, I mean, we're Teamsters. We're not what the bad rap you said earlier, right? We're hard workers, and we're showing that, trying to give back by trying to organize. We're trying to organize Amazon. I remember back in the day.
We ain't trying. We are.
Yes.
We have nearly 10,000 Amazon Teamsters now, and we are pounding through that system right now, as the whole nation witnessed in December those workers taking charge. Pretty courageous. Anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Is like we're helping other people become members, and help them get organized. We're not just sitting back and like, oh, that's their problem.
Yeah.
Joe,
I just add on to that. It's just being a Teamster. That message. Like I know we got that trying to get that bad rep. It doesn't BS. It's BS. It's like becoming a Teamster is like being union solidarity. It's just like that's what we're trying to focus on. I just love being a Teamster. So that's all I got to say on that.
It changed my life. Yeah. It saved my life.
Yeah.
You know my story. It's a pretty crazy one, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things I love about this organization is there's always a place you can fit in. There's always a place you can kind of put your energy. There's always something you can do to help somebody else. And it helped me in an extreme time of need when I'm, a teenager, and, these incredibly difficult circumstances. And it was a camaraderie of the organization that wrapped themselves around situations and moves you to a better place. And I'll never forget that. It's why I fell in love with it. It's why I just appreciate every bit of this space as much as I can. You guys drive me nuts sometimes, by the way. I'm kind of glad I'm not your BA anymore. You guys were never afraid to call your business agent. I can tell you that right now.
The good old days. The good old days.
Randy, it's like 9 o'clock at night. Oh man, you're wrong. I'm like, guys, man, like, can I get some dinner at some point? Anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm giving you guys a little bit of, that. I appreciate you. I really do. Any last words from you?
No. I mean, thank you for inviting us.
Like I said, anytime. You guys are more than welcome.
I appreciate it. It's great. It's great to be a Teamster. I'm glad for us to get the message out there. Anytime you need us to help, get on the show to, talk about being union, organizing, we're here.
We got about 90 seconds, right, Mark? 90? Well, really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to wrap up the first hour of the show. The one I have control over the show, but the one thing I don't have is that top of the hour, because we got this cool logo behind us, NBC, and there's mandatory news at the top of the hour that's got to be played because we are on the radio itself, and we're really enjoying this space. We're enjoying our 24/7 radio, the music station that we have, and also this platform to where we can really, enter a space and try to meet people where they are. And quite frankly, with this, you can listen to it at any time. You can listen to it when it's live. You can listen to it a little later. You can share the podcast. You can listen to a part of it. And hopefully we can do more of it. And anytime you guys want to come on and help us and help spread the word with other workers, we find that our most shared episodes are our Amazon ones. They really go big. So with that, this is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Take it away, Mark.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio. I'm Chris Coraggio. President Trump is thinking about a second meeting with Vladimir Putin, even though the first summit with the Russian leader is still a couple of days away. Trump will meet with Putin Friday in Alaska, but today he told reporters certain great things can be gained in the first meeting, but it's setting the table for the second meeting. Trump added that he had a great call with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European allies earlier today. Trump again said the Ukraine-Russian war was not his. It belongs to former President Biden, but he said he'll impose severe penalties on Russia if Putin won't agree to a deal. And Trump said he will not negotiate territorial issues with Putin during the summit on Friday. He said those issues should be discussed between Ukraine and Russia. 3 people have died and 1 person is missing after heavy rain hit southern Tennessee. Officials say a tree fell onto a car early this morning, killing 2 adults and 1 child. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
Located in the heart of San Bernardino, California, the Teamsters Local 1932 Training Center is designed to train workers for high-demand, good-paying jobs in various industries throughout the Inland Empire. If you want a pathway to a high-paying job and the respect that comes with a union contract, visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org. Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com.
KCAA, where life's much better. So download the app in your smart device today. Listen everywhere and anywhere, whether you're in Southern California, Texas, or sailing on the Gulf of Mexico. Life's a breeze with KCAA. Download the app in your smart device today.
I'll be sailing out of yesterday in the Gulf of Mexico.
KCAA. This important time-sensitive message is brought to you by this station's generous sponsor, George Litchfield Associates, who has important Medicare information for all current and future Medicare recipients about some big changes happening. Medicare Clarified. Medicare is a nonprofit consumer service organization.
It's more important than ever to review your Medicare plan for 2025 from October 15th through December 7th. To find out if you're in the right plan for you, people or calling 951-769-0005. 951-769-0005. A popular and local Medicare plan is improving. Others are raising copays and adding deductibles. Biggest changes in the Medicare drug program in 15 years.
We thank George Litchfield and Litchfield Insurance for their generous support of this radio station.
I'm Lillian Vasquez with Community Matters. There are many car clubs and car shows throughout the Inland Empire. I visited a car show in Yucaipa and spoke with David Avila, president of Past Pleasures Car Club. He shared about the club, its purpose, and when it first began.
Well, it's kind of a debate. We believe that the first organized group was around 1979, but more officially closer to 1986 or 87. We gathered to help celebrate the Southern California car culture of the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s.
David shared the types of cars you might see and, of course, his pride and joy.
We see all kinds of cars from early model hot rods to very, very well-appointed custom cars, all makes and models. We have everything that's pre-80. I have a 1966 Chevelle Malibu, the yellow one here, my pride and joy, but everyone just brings whatever they have. There's several cars that are under various stages of construction and restoration, and we enjoy seeing them and seeing the progress every month that they bring. It's just a wonderful event, and it's a nice family-friendly. We have bubble gum blowing contests, hula hoops, a limbo contest. It's just a wonderful family event, and we encourage everybody who has a car or don't have a car, come over here and enjoy the camaraderie that we have, again, celebrating the Southern California car culture.
You don't have to have a car in the show. Spectators and car enthusiasts are encouraged to check out the classics. It's free to attend. The Past Pleasure Car Club shows off their cars the first Friday of the month from April through November, located in the Ross parking lot on Yucaipa Boulevard. For Community Matters, I'm Lillian Vasquez.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
We're back on the Worker Power Hour. This is the Worker Power with Randy Corrigan and the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. You know, every time I hear that music, I feel like I'm getting fired out of a cannon. It's go time, Mark. Appreciate you.
Ready to rock?
Ready to go. So, well, that was a good segment. We had a couple old friends and colleagues from the Stater Brothers Distribution Center that I've been working with for, their entire career, over 30 years with them individually. The time that they've been there, I think it was 27 and 29 years, but really appreciate them coming on the show. Scott, you're sneaking around here. No, I know. I'm not just old. I'm a boomer, according to our youngster over here, Robert. Robert apparently doesn't know what a boomer is. Now, maybe Dennis is a boomer, but I'm not a boomer. Are you a boomer?
Yes.
No, you're killing me, Robert. Anyway, Robert's like 22 years old, and we kid him because he's not figured out some of the generation stuff. But with that, next segment, here is our Teamster Advantage partner. We have a Teamster Advantage partner, one of my favorite actually of our whole system. And for those of you that don't know, I'll explain it to you. Is we have more than 1,000 small businesses, part of our Teamster Advantage network throughout the Inland Empire. We've decided to partner with these small businesses and advertise for them for free within our network of more than 30,000 households between Teamsters Local 63 and 1932. And we want to encourage our members to shop local, to participate with small business and small business owners, because a lot of these small businesses, they're trying to, the working class people, the middle class, everybody's just kind of trying to, get through the day, pay their bills, make sure the kids get to soccer practice and raise their families, and hopefully at some point pull the trigger and retire in some dignity, and no different than our union members in the same space doing the exact same thing. And quite frankly, union members make the most money in the region for the most part. They're the ones that are going to be spending the most money in these small businesses. And we want to encourage them to go into a Corky's versus, let's say, an Applebee's, right? Go into somewhere that's a proprietor in the area, a small business owner, or a local shop, or services in the area, so that the money recirculates through the economy in the area versus being shipped out to Alabama or North Carolina or some other part of the country. Keep the money home as much as we can. Anyway, with that, we're proud of the fact that we're in almost 30 chambers of commerce across the Inland Empire. As a matter of fact, we're on some of the boards, currently on some of those boards, and we've served as the president in some of those chambers as well. Tomorrow, I will actually be speaking at the Fontana Chamber of Commerce.
Correct.
And tomorrow night, we have our first dinner with our Teamster Advantage restaurant, Johnny Russo's in Banning.
Correct.
And hopefully you're on the RSVP list. Once a month, we're going to be landing on a restaurant and having dinner with not all of our members, clearly, but an invite-only sort of, kind of showcase the restaurant, and then we can get some people to come on the show and talk about what they had and how good the food was. And so, do you want to talk a little bit about that real quick?
No, I'm just hanging here in case you need me.
All right, thanks. Anyway, with that, we have Mike here from Corky's and September's, correct?
That's correct. Corky's Kitchen and Bakery and September's Taproom and Eatery.
Well, man, if anybody's had a pie in the IE from Corky's, they know they better get it from you versus getting it from anywhere else. Great pies. Your skillets in the morning for me for breakfast, killer. I mean, they're the best out of anywhere in the IE. September's one of my favorite places to go and eat. Great variety. Food, I have never, my personal opinion, never had anything bad on the menu. My wife says that I don't complain about food. I obviously look like I don't complain. But September's is always at the top of my list of some place to go if I'm going to go grab a bite to eat, or we got a few people to get together, or if I just want to go out that night. My wife, not so much. She's like, I want to go to this place over here or there. But I really appreciate what you do for the community. I appreciate the product you put out. Thanks for coming on the show, Mike. You want to talk a little bit about our relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a relationship. We've had a relationship with you guys for since 2018. I've heard that the discount needs a little bit of work, so we're going to revisit that.
Well, thank you.
But,
we'll never say no.
Yeah, right. Of course. But other than that, just a little background on Corky's Kitchen and Bakery. We started Inland Empire in 2007, and we've grown primarily throughout the Inland Empire. We have one store in South Orange County, but everything else is Inland Empire grown. This is where I was born and raised for the most part. And then the September's Taproom and Eatery, the same situation. We've got every single location is either based in Riverside or San Bernardino County. So very, very local.
What's your favorite dish what do you think is the best dish let's start with September's.
September's would probably be our tasso gravy fries. It's lots of calories, but it's amazing. It's mozzarella cheese and tasso ham gravy that's made from scratch. Most everything that we do at September's and Corky's is items made from scratch in-house. We've got a lot of preparation that we do every day, and cut our own vegetables. We're not buying anything already prepackaged or processed.
Yeah, you can tell everything's fresh there.
Yeah, absolutely. Grate our own cheese, cut our own lettuce. Everything's made every single day.
How about Corky's? What do you think's your best dish there?
For breakfast, probably our chicken fried steak. It's made in-house as well. Delicious. And then I think for a dinner item, I'm going to probably go with our meatloaf. I like the meatloaf, and we use about 10 pounds of ground beef and a loaf of sourdough bread and pound of jack cheese and some spices and finely minced onions and bell peppers. So yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff in there, and it's tasty.
I got people saying, yeah, the Tasso fries or whatever. I don't, maybe I don't pronounce it correctly.
Tasso, whatever.
Tasso.
Yeah.
I know what fries you're talking about because I've ordered them.
Yeah. It's
but
probably
also you
European
got an
word.
option. There's an option for it to be chili verde as well, correct? The fries?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have chili verde fries, and yeah, we've got, and that's also made in house, just like most everything else.
Yeah, from what I understand, there's some pies floating around here, and we're gonna get to taste them. I'm wondering.
Ralph has them in his hands. That's the problem.
Did he eat them?
He might be.
You know, we did this thing on the donuts, and he ate all the donuts before he came in here, and then we didn't have anything to try. So
Yeah, I think we have a key lime and a banana cream.
Oh,
yeah.
I love, here he comes.
Oh, look
Here
who's
comes.
here. Oh, he didn't eat them.
No, he
Delivery
probably
too.
ate them. These are just pieces.
Leftovers.
All right. Well, okay. I just had, for those of you listening on the radio, not watching, we just had, give it to Dennis. He gets to eat it all the time. That guy, no. He gets to eat it all the time. Dennis is looking at it like too many calories. So what do you like better, the banana or the key lime?
Key lime probably. I'm a coconut cream fan, so that's usually what I get. It's usually my go-to.
You guys have a great coconut cream.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
absolutely.
amazing actually.
So you got any funny stories?
Funny stories. Let's. We did have a football team from Los Osos High School in Rancho Cucamonga come in and dine and dash with their school jerseys on.
Shut the front door. That's
and
crazy.
So we turned it over to the coach who had them come in and pay the bill. That was a funny one. It's probably
That's
one of the
hilarious.
better ones.
That is pretty darn good. Man, like, what did the kids say when they came back?
Sorry.
Oh, I can imagine.
How many
Coach-
laps did they have to run
Yeah, I
after
was
that?
gonna say, what
I
did
didn't
Coach
ask the
do?
coach, but yeah,
We
this
got
is
to check on
probably 10
that
years
one.
ago.
I would like to check on that one and see. Okay, what did, because you know Coach did something.
Oh, I'm thinking they ran for a long
Minimally,
time.
if not just run. I'm sure they had to do push-ups and other stuff too.
Yeah, if you're going to dine and dash, make sure you don't have a football jersey on with your last name on the back.
Right. Like, well, you know, high school kids, you know. We're all laughing about it because we probably, you know, like thought about doing something like that at some point, or, you know, we've recognized it happening and you're like, all right, guys. Well, you made it easy for us to figure this one out.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
what was that? Do you remember what the bill was, just out of curiosity?
I think it was just a bunch of breakfast burritos. I think there were like 6 or 7 of them. I think it was maybe $70.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on, guys. Like, all right, that's funny. Any other funny stories you got?
I could probably go on for days, to be honest with you. Let's see.
I tell you, listeners love to hear the funny stories that has to do with the restaurant. We've had some humdingers on here, man. We had some pretty crazy.
Greg, you got any good ones that have happened lately?
I think the story about just how you grew the brand, living above the restaurant.
Oh, yeah. That I don't know how funny that is, but yeah.
No, tell us that. That's a good story. How you grew the brand.
No, when we started in business, we were undercapitalized, and my wife and I sold our house, then rented a house and couldn't afford the rent, and then we moved to a restaurant down on Etowanda in Rancho Cucamonga. Above it, there was 900 square feet. Moved my kids and my family and 2 cats and a brother-in-law in 900 square feet. We lived there for about 2 years until we got enough cash to kind of get things rolling again and get our own living space besides living above the restaurant. So that was an interesting time. It wasn't super funny. I enjoyed it, but my wife didn't care for it much. Yeah. What's that? That was called Toll's Restaurant, right? Toll House Cafe at the time. Yeah, it was on Etowanda and Whitram.
I remember.
Yeah.
I actually remember. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that building's since been torn down.
Again, really appreciate the relationship that we have. We just got a couple more minutes. Anything else you want to share? Plus, you also do a lot of stuff with the community.
We do. We have Corky's Kitchen for Cancer coming up, which supports the Loma Linda Children's Pediatric Ward. Donate 50 cents a cookie if you just buy one of our regular cookies, and $1.25 for one of our ribbon cookies. We'll be doing that all month long for the month of September. I think last year we raised close to $30,000, and we've upped the ante a little bit. We're hoping to raise $60,000. And this is stuff that goes right back into Loma Linda Children's Hospital. It doesn't go into some slush fund. We're actually buying like toys and stuff for kids that are that have cancer and that can't leave the hospital because they're that sick. So And then on the September side, we're doing, last year we started partnering. I think we raised about $30,000 for that too, Tunnel to Towers, a great organization. About 95% of all of the proceeds that goes into Tunnel to Towers goes back to the service members and the first responders that actually need the money. And they build houses for them, especially if they've been paralyzed or they've got some lifelong issues. So it's another great cause. So those are two things we do throughout the month of September. It's called September at Septembers. It's also football season getting ready to start. So come on in, and we've got 20 TVs at a minimum at every single September's location. You go to the one in Redlands, we've got 50 TVs there between the inside and out.
And you have some of your own beers too, right?
We don't have any of our own beers, but we do
some craft
work with some local craft breweries that put our name on.
Oh, I thought some of them were yours. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
But they got your name on it.
Yeah,
so.
we don't do any brewing ourselves, but yeah, all local craft brews, and we try to keep the breweries within a close radius of where we're operating. So if you're in Rancho Cucamonga, you've got some Hamilton beers. If you're in Redlands, you've got Escape Brewery. So we do some different types of stuff locally with the craft brews.
Yeah, and if you're looking to host a party, if you're looking to have an event, you guys do a great job of hosting that in some of those spaces. So, great job with that. Before we wrap up, Mike, first of all, I want to tell you, you got a great voice. You could host for me.
Well, thank you.
You could fill in.
Yeah.
What do you think? No.
I'll keep my day job. I think.
yeah, right, exactly. I'll keep my day job. I said the same thing. I don't know if you heard when I first started, I always say long-time organizer, first-time radio host. Because when you just start doing this and you're going to make errors and you're live, you need an excuse because you make a lot of them,
Right.
especially when you're live. It's not like I can go back and fix all this. And yeah, that guy can push the button and dump something I accidentally say. But for the most part, you're rolling, you're on, and you can't make a mistake for a bit. But in all seriousness, we really appreciate you coming on. We appreciate the relationship you have with us, most importantly with the community, and what you do for the community every day. I think that these stories don't get talked about enough in modern day, and what we're trying to do with our platforms is just, have that voice out there and explain it and talk about these relationships that can be built, and that in all reality, as much fighting that goes on in America right now with one another, there's more that we can actually agree on than disagree on. If we spend all of our time on the disagreement, we get nothing done. If we look at the things we can agree on, like spaces like this that we just talked about, we can get a lot more done, including helping the community like you do with Loma Linda. Loma Linda, we do something similar with them every single year. It's actually one of our favorite events, and our favorite, our members really love to participate in that and help and hand out the bikes and hand out the toys and just kind of, help, because those are very challenging situations for those families, for those children that are at Loma Linda Hospital. So thank you for doing something very similar with your organization. We really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
And thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for, living in that small little 900 square feet for a while and now having restaurants all over the place to make that happen.
Yeah.
Because, that's a pretty good story.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we enjoy the IE, that's for sure.
Anything you want to close on before I take a quick break?
I don't think so. I think that covers it.
Well,
thanks for your business, by the way.
Yeah, I believe
all
me.
you guys out there.
You guys are one of the most popular Teamster Advantage partners, just from us hearing where everybody goes and one of the places that they like. So know that you're at the top of that list. We're proud of that relationship, and we're proud of the fact that we're constantly encouraging our members to kind of participate in. Key lime pie, I'm with you. Key lime pie was better than the banana. They're both very, very good. I'm not sure. I mean, the key lime was arguably one of the better key limes I've ever had. That's really, really good key lime. So, yeah, home run there.
Awesome, thank you.
I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
Well, I
can't tell you how good it makes me feel to know you enjoyed your pie.
Oh, would you like some? I licked the bowl. Would you like some? This is Randy Corrigan in the Worker Power Hour. We've been joined by Mike Tolles from September's and Corky's, and spent this last bit of segment talking about all the great things that those two restaurants do in the community, in addition to their community involvement and the relationship they have with us. And we really appreciate you coming on. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. don't forget, you can always tune in on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. And also, you can email us at radioshow@teamsters1932.org. Mark, take it away for a quick break. We'll be right back. We're back. I had to take another bite of that pie, by the way. I got to put it, if I don't put it over there, I'm going to end up eating it in front of me right now. So I noticed, Dennis, you're sitting close to yours over there. Like he keeps reaching over. Yeah, Corky, September's, man, great food, great place to go, great place to hang out, a great place to watch a game. Not Corky's, it's more breakfast but and lunch, but definitely September's is a great place to go. So glad they come on. They've been a long time partner, and I love the fact that he came on and said, I want to increase the discount.
You know what was really impressive? He sold everything to make that happen. That's a sacrifice.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, good for him. Yeah, it's good for everybody else because everybody was able to benefit from that sacrifice, and he's been successful. They've been successful, and hopefully they can remain successful as a result of everybody continuing to go there and participate. Well, I am now joined by one of my favorite people in the world. I have Dennis Hayes on here from a law firm that represents labor and has always represented labor. And one of the things I love about Dennis, I'll let him introduce himself here in a minute, but I'm going to do a little tee up. And that is that not all lawyers start out in the labor movement as kind of labor advocates. Dennis did. And Dennis he'll tell you his history here in a minute. And everything that I typically work with on Dennis, there's always this spirit, focus, and energy that has labor advocacy focused in it, and not so much just talking to a lawyer. And there's a lot of value in that, especially when it comes to labor, because it's such a specialized field. And so grown to become very, very fond of Dennis and his team at Dennis Hayes and Hayes, Ortega, and Sanchez, and the rest of the firm. You're on top of it. I've already got a couple text messages, by the way, of people seeing you sit here in the studio and said, "Oh, Dennis is going to be on the show." I see him in the studio looking in, so it's great to see people paying attention. And by popular demand, Dennis Hayes, why don't you introduce yourself and talk about, we got a lot of cool stuff to cover in the next 32 minutes.
Okay, Randy, thank you for inviting me onto your show to be a guest on Radio Free San Bernardino. It's a pleasure. Long-time listener, first-time guest.
There you go. Got to get you a little closer to the mic, Dennis.
I applaud your efforts here to bring worker power to the Inland Empire, to tell labor's history and how that power created the middle class and demanded a greater part of the wealth that they created. It's a great story. It's not told in schools, but it's told here, and that's important. That's important.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know if I found the labor movement or the labor movement found me. I went when I was in college, undergraduate. I worked for UPS. I loaded trucks at night and went to classes during the evening. It was at a UPS distribution center in Reseda, San Fernando Valley. And that was a great job. I mean, I had benefits, I had good pay, and I got to work out 3 hours a day. I mean, people pay now to go to a gym
right.
and do that. I love doing that. That was fabulous. But I did move on. I got married, went to San Diego, and worked for the U.S. Postal Service, and that's where my labor began. We had a new section. It was a computerized forwarding system, and they hired about 60 people all at once, and I was one of them. And I don't know about other sections of the Postal Service, but where I worked, they were the worst employer imaginable. They were really bad. We worked 60 hours a week, 10 hours a day for a year trying to get that. And they treated people so poorly. And I kept standing up. I kept checking them. I kept pointing out the errors of their ways. I ended up rewriting their schedules because they couldn't do it themselves. And people started coming to me with their issues because they knew I would confront management. And the union came along and said, with your mouth, you're going to get fired.
Why don't you might be a steward, right?
Why don't you be a shop steward? And it takes up no time at all, and it's good work, and you seem good at it. And I did, and that started this career. I became chief shop steward. I was on the executive board, and I got picked up to be an arbitration advocate. I would actually go to arbitrations. People were fired. I would go to arbitration to get their job back. And I did negotiations. I was in Washington, D.C. for 3 months on a master contract. I was one of many tables, the automation table. But I just fell in love with it. I loved arbitrations. I thought it was the most exciting thing imaginable. I loved tearing apart supervisors, arrogant. I was never very good with authority, which is hard to say because I was in the Navy for 4 years, and it's pretty much authority. But I just took to the job. It was like it was made for me, and I loved it. And I met a lot of attorneys in Washington, and I thought, this is something great. I flew back at the end of negotiations and told my wife, well, I'm going to go to law school. She was sure we were going to get arrested because Postal Service doesn't have the right to strike. What they have is what they call binding interest arbitration.
And this is while you're bargaining the national contract, correct?
Right. And what they had is that if you can't agree on a contract, then it goes out to an arbitrator, and you make your pitch to them, and then this arbitrator decides who's right and who's wrong on each of those proposals. Not everything goes to the arbitrator, but the key disputes do. And why, I would say, we talked about worker power, and the Postal Service was afraid. The president of the union was the president of the New York local, And 12 years prior to that, they had gone on strike. And it was illegal at the time.
Even though they weren't supposed to.
It was illegal.
That's how
for
bad
them
it
to.
got.
But there were they had people waiting around for work. You had to hang out around the Postal Service, and then when they needed someone, they would call you in. I mean, the conditions were horrible. So they went on strike. It was illegal, but it didn't matter. They shut down the postal system. And at that time, they didn't have email. So this was the only form of communication.
That's right. Yeah.
So business comes to a grinding halt. That caused seismic changes. They took them out of the public sector and put them in the National Labor Relations Act and before the NLRB. And they gave them that binding arbitration provision. And it completely changed labor relations. They passed the law, the Postal Reorganization Act in 1970. And it was not a law that granted them the right to strike. You either have the power or you don't. And they had the power. They had the power to push their demands, and they were righteous demands.
I think that's an interesting point because you have similar discussions happening now where like last week, if you listened to my show from just a couple of days ago, referencing last week's cancellation of collective bargaining agreements with the Veterans Affairs, almost 500,000 workers lost their collective bargaining rights. Of course, I immediately said, well, it's time for workers to just shut it down and withhold their labor. And some would disagree. We can obviously have a robust debate regarding that. But you make an extremely important point here, is that in 1970, you had a situation where workers at the Postal Service who technically didn't have the right to strike, is actually illegal for them to strike, said we've had enough, but because they did it in such unison and such solidarity, in addition to having the leverage and the power, that the employer didn't have a choice but to agree to some terms, correct?
Correct. No choice at all.
And so I think that the courageousness of the past, whether it's individuals from the 1930s or 40s, or clearly in this situation, the 1970s, where workers said, I'm going to shut it down, whether you think it's against the rules or not, that was the backstop that ultimately said, we've got to fix this. And it creates change because workers have to exercise that power at that moment.
Yeah, laws don't give you the right to withhold your labor. It's worker power that creates those laws. It's not the other way around.
Spoken from a lawyer. Did you hear that? like we're listening to a lawyer saying it's not the law. I mean, obviously we get the point here. There's some stuff grounded in the law, but this is one of the things I appreciate so much about you, Dennis, is you have you look at this from a perspective of workers have got to grab that power. They've got to exercise it, and the law will follow.
Yes. Yeah, that's why you do talk about the Wagner Act and the National Labor Relations Act that was passed in the 30s. But as you pointed out on prior shows, that was a result of the strike in San Francisco. And again, that was seismic changes. Because
talk about that. Talk about that.
It was it started, on the longshoremen and spread to the docks. And at one point in time, the entire city stopped. It's called a general strike. And the entire city refused to engage in any commerce. Every shop, every business was closed to show the solidarity behind the workers. And that scared the hell out of people. The wealthy were leaving the town. It was a long line. They thought this is it, but it was
it's almost like Armageddon, huh? They're like you're looking around, going, well, "This is creepy."
And it was so powerful that brought about a change. But you can't say that the National Labor Relations Act gave you the right to join, form, and participate in the labor union. The worker power is what brought it, and that just codified it. That was an acknowledgement of the worker power that they had. The law is more of an acknowledgement of the reality of the times.
You listened to the show with Jennifer Abruzzo, right?
Yes.
Wasn't that a great show? How much she lined up with some of this discussion?
Oh yeah, that was great. She's terrific.
What'd you get from that?
Well, I got from her what a a great character. What a great individual she is. I mean, she's very dedicated to the movement and put her heart and soul into that job. It was nice to see someone who understood that the National Labor Relations Act, when it was first passed, was passed to help people to organize, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt had a hard time. He had a difficult, very conservative Supreme Court. He got the Fair Labor Standards Act, he got the Wagner Act through, but there was a lot of other New Deal legislation that was stopped by the courts. At one time, he wanted to expand the courts so that he could pack it with people who were
going to support his agenda.
Yeah, which is discussed now.
Yeah.
If the power ever changes, but she was terrific. And
I love that one of the things she said that really stuck out to me was that the National Labor Relations Act was formed to protect workers, not corporations. Like she hit that note over and over again on the show, and I felt that was really refreshing to hear.
And it was perverted now to be used as a tool of delay and denial by employers, but that was not its purpose at all. If you read the act, you can see its purpose, but that's got lost over time, I think. But it was it was a great show, a remarkable individual. I enjoyed listening to her immensely. I 40 years, it'll be in June, that I've been a labor attorney. So it almost seems like a distant past. My prior career, it was a short career, but it set me on this path. For some reason, everything that I had done in life brought it together to that moment. And I realized this is what I want to do. And that's when I went to law school, because I wanted to be a labor attorney. Most attorneys go to law school, they have no idea what to get, and they end up doing the first job they get. But this is exactly what I wanted to do, and our local, the American Postal Workers Union local, was looking for a new attorney at the time, and I was looking for a place I could work. And
right, it worked out.
So we went around interviewing law firms, but I was actually just looking not only for one for the local, but I wanted one that I was going to hop over to, and I found one, and I was there 2 years as a law clerk, and then became an attorney, passed the bar, became a partner, and I have been practicing labor law ever since. So it's a rewarding career, like these folks before you from Local 63, which our firm represents. They said they enjoy their job, and I think it was that if you enjoy your job, you really never have to work a day in your life. And I love this job.
Let's shift gears a bit here. I think that's a great segue into dealing with some of the evil powers that are trying to destroy unions, right?
Yes.
There's some entities out there that are very well funded by corporate America, paying millions of dollars to try to undermine our ability to get things done. You've done a magnificent job here recently of kicking their rear end. Be careful what I say, because we are on the radio. They're just looking to be litigious in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, I won't steal your thunder. What are they really after? What's going on with them, and what do they call them?
Yeah, they have. They're the so-called Freedom Foundation, and your listeners may have heard of them. They are a ultra-conservative, right-wing, anti-union, anti-worker organization that's funded by some of the most wealthy people in the country. Monies that derive from folks like the Koch brothers. And they do have millions, and they're in the middle of a campaign in California, Oregon, and Washington that's attacking public sector unions and public sector workers primarily, although they'll go after all unions. And at first, they got a lot of information about public sector workers. They went and did California Public Records Act requests to find out home addresses, email addresses, work locations, all the contact information. That was phase one. Phase two is they did a media blitz, social media. They email people. They mail them letters, postcards. They do videos. They set up a website. They have been actively sending their message out, and their message is simple. Just resign from the union, and you don't have to pay dues, which I think most people sort of know anyway. But that's their message, and they think if they tell them that they're going to drop. And they spent millions of dollars doing this. And for the most part, it
Didn't work.
Didn't work.
Right.
You know, California has a lot of folks
7 years in, it hasn't worked.
who support unions. No. The percent of unions, I think in 2003 was about 55% of the people who could be in a union were in a union in the public sector. It's about 2017, it was like 55%. And then last year it was 57.7%, which is huge. I mean, those numbers are greater than Europe, which is very pro-union. So we have an incredible density there. And then there's not really any numbers about how many people have dropped out. For some reason, they don't track those. But I know, I mean, I represent 6 Teamster locals. I represent other unions. And you yourself know 1932 has over the years grown each and every year, thousands more than when you became the principal officer. And that's despite Janus, and that's despite that was a ruling where people who can opt out and they can get the benefits of the union for free. And despite all of that, California workers, the public sector recognize that they rely on, and want a strong union to protect them, because they look around and see what else is going on in the country. And it has failed. And it must be very frustrating for the oligarchs, the American oligarchs who support the Freedom Foundation, that this is happening. And so they have a new tactic now. And the new tactic is to bring frivolous litigation based on false allegations, but advertise it. Soak the internet with it.
Blast it out, hit
Blast it
everybody.
out.
Whatever accusation, doesn't matter how much validity is to
And
it.
it's unfortunate. We're kind of in a post-fact world where the allegation defines opinion as opposed to the truth. And they rely on that.
I've come to realize recently that the truth is getting further and further away. Like, oh my goodness.
I think the Freedom Foundation feels the truth is overrated.
Yes, they clearly do.
So that brings us to local. And we had one individual funded by the Freedom Foundation who's a county employee. And the Freedom Foundation has brought a lawsuit in her name, and it's attacking a benefit that 1932 has negotiated recently, and that was to establish a retiree trust. Now, a lot of folks in the county retire at 60, but Medicare doesn't kick in till 65, and a lot can happen in those 5 years. A lot that can drain someone's savings and resources.
Statistics show that it drains it. That 7 out of 10 times it drains it completely.
Yes.
Statistics show between 60 and 65 that if you don't have some sort of retiree medical benefit, that the a catastrophic medical situation will completely drain your 70%. It's insane. Sorry, I just jumped into a statistic.
So the county wouldn't fund it themselves. They were worried about unfunded liabilities and whatever. So 1932, under Randy's direction, negotiated this retiree trust, where when you retire from the county in an eligible position, that is bargaining unit represented by the union, you get an amount of money that offsets the cost of this health care. I think it starts out at, is it $700?
$750.
$750, and then if you have a spouse, then it's another $325.
$375.
Exactly what he said, and that's what they're attacking. They're to fund this because the county wouldn't. There is 1.5% of salary that's deferred, which means tax-free, deferred and paid to the trust. Well, and that funds it, and people are now relying on that money to pay for their health care. Enter the Freedom Foundation. They said, oh, you're deducting it from non-members. Yeah, but non-members get the benefit too. So everybody's treated equally. But she doesn't want that deducted. That's what the Freedom Foundation says. And then you're taking that money and you're doing political ads. You're giving it to politicians.
That's their accusation.
That's their accusation. And they had no evidence. Absolutely. They brought a complaint that made this allegation on what they call information and belief, which means they have no idea and they have no facts, but they sued anyway. And then they brought a lawsuit. They brought a motion for a preliminary injunction. And that means that they're asking the court, give us everything we want now because we're 100% right. We don't need a trial. We don't need evidence. Just come in and give it to us. And the court said no, denied the motion. And they denied the motion because they said the Freedom Foundation does not have a likelihood of success on the merits. It means they're going to lose this case.
So in a nutshell, what they've done here is use this all as a ruse to say, hit some headline, which they did in the local paper, hit some headline to say, this is the allegation. This is what unions are doing. This is, this is what's unfair. And everything that was actually in the Sun Telegram, none of it was actually accurate. Even the rates of pay that the individual was saying that they had received as increases, they had said they only received a 3% increase when we'd found a 78% increase over a period of time. Like, you talk about a complete false narrative. Like, everything that you can think of being false was false. But as you point, it was just to splash certain narratives to make people think that situations like this are bad.
So that's where we are now. We have to go through some discovery. They have to be shown evidence that no monies are being paid for anything except benefits and necessary administrative costs. So they're going to lose this case, in my opinion.
They already lost the first part of it.
They already lost the first part of it, and the court's already told them, you're probably not going to win in this. Now, I got to tell you, the attorney's name, who's representing the Freedom Foundation attorney, you can't make this up. His name is Snowball. And yeah, I'm going to say it. I don't think this case has a chance of snowball in hell. But this is not his first loss. This is not his first loss. Let me tell you about one other snowball fight. It was a new employee orientation.
Snowball actually led this fight that you're going to talk about?
Yes.
Oh.
And
we like Snowball.
He led it and lost it. The argument was the county and other public employers have a new employee orientation. So when you're newly hired, if you're a county employee, you probably remember that. They call you in a room and tell you about how county employee is going to be. And then there's some portion of time at the end where the union can come in and tell you about the union benefits, retiree trusts, all of those things, great stuff the union does, to have people sign up and be union members along with their brothers and sisters. Now, not the Teamsters, but there was another union, and I guess at this new employee orientation, they call them NEOs, they were bashing the Freedom Foundation, kind of like I am. And And they said, well,
It was all true.
we want equal time. We want to be able to go in.
So the Freedom Foundation is saying, I want equal time in that meeting.
all meetings. I want to go in every NEO.
Every union meeting, right?
Every NEO meeting, they wanted the Freedom Foundation. And the district court said no. And the Court of Appeals said, no, that's not, we can't, you couldn't open this up to everybody who wanted to have it, even though they're not stakeholders, and anybody who wanted to come by and say it. We would have mailing lists or lists of guests 100 long.
Yeah, their NEO would take 2 weeks. Right? Wouldn't be an hour.
So I read the press coverage on this, and Snowball had a meltdown. He said that.
Yeah, I love Dennis's humor, man. Snowball had a meltdown.
Snowball melted.
He said they didn't even listen to me. They took the government's position, and it's so unfair. Well, yeah, they took the government's position because the government was right.
Yeah, and you don't have it. There's no vested interest in the meeting. Yeah.
Let me give you one example, and I don't think this was Snowball. Another Freedom Foundation case where when a union goes to organize a group, they get what they call support cards. And the support cards are...
This is a good one.
An employee who says, I want the union to represent me in all my dealings with the county. And the Freedom Foundation alleged that the signatures on the support cards were forged. And they made a big deal of it. You can look, support cards, forged, Freedom Foundation. You'll get so many articles. They even got an op-ed opinion in the Wall Street Journal about how terrible this is. The problem was, it's not true. They have a thing they call now handwriting experts.
Right. They can verify whether or not.
And they weren't forged. So they lost that case. Do I have more time for?
Yeah, 4 minutes.
Okay.
Actually, you got about 3.
Four. Okay. They challenge folks who signed a membership agreement agreeing to be a member for a year, because people used to hop in, vote no on the contract, and then hop out. So the union said, no, if you're going to sign this, you're going to be there a year. And then Freedom Foundation found somebody who wanted to opt out, and the union said no. And of course, they sued. First Amendment, free speech. They lost that case.
Yeah, because they initially signed to opt in. Yep.
Another case, there is a neutrality law in California where public employers cannot oppose or encourage people to join a union or have a union. And that makes sense because public employers, board of supervisors, managers are being paid by the public. And I certainly don't want someone I'm paying to talk about something I don't want. So they have the neutrality, which I think is a good idea. They challenge that. Oh, it's freedom of speech for the board of supervisors and the managers. They should be able to express their views about the union. Well, not on the public's dime. And the court said, in your private life, when you go to some prayer breakfast, you can bash the union all you want, but when you're in your official capacity, you have to maintain neutrality. So they challenged that as well, and they lost as well. I think one of the funniest ones is that they set up this website, and the website, you can go on, these people can go on, and automatically you put a few bits of information in, and it generates a letter from the Freedom Foundation telling the union that they're resigning their membership. Well, the Teamsters 117 in Washington decided we're not going to open those. I don't want to open an email from the Freedom Foundation. And so, again, they sued, you're preventing people from leaving. And the court said, no, you can't force people to open mail. They said, they want to open your mail. They're not going to open your mail. They know who you are and what you're about, and they're not interested. And that was another loss. You will not find these losses on the Freedom Foundation website, because all this is generated. And I just want to leave you with one quick piece of advice. When you see people spending millions of dollars, $30 million, $40 million, claiming it's in your interest, look out.
Yeah.
Because you have to figure out they're spending this money obviously for their own interest. And you have to understand that they don't care about you. The only people that care about you are the people in your same situation, your coworkers, your brothers and sisters, who together can do great things. Don't be fooled by the propaganda and the American oligarchs.
Yeah, and I think this, I'll wrap the show up. Thanks, Dennis, for coming on. Again, appreciate the relationship. Appreciate all you do for the members and appreciate your dedication to the movement. This is where we bring in the movement to the mic here, right? You like that?
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So do we. You got to thank Robert for that one, by the way. Anyway, really appreciate that. You know, look, the Freedom Foundation clearly out there's got a personal vendetta against this local because we don't just lay down. We fight back, and our members are active and they're pushing back, and they're building worker power. And organizations like the Freedom Foundation that are funded by these big corporations are trying to undermine worker power. They don't want workers to have power, and it's crazy why they're spending that much money to tell you don't need to pay union dues at some point. I got less than a minute, right? So we're building worker power in the Inland Empire. How are we building worker power? We're building worker power one person at a time. We're having conversations. We're talking to our friends, our neighbors. We're talking to our family, and we're encouraging workers to organize. And we're teaching them that, you know, you can withhold your labor, you can organize, you can get a collective bargaining agreement. This is where worker power is won. You can you know, in mass withhold your labor and demand on a large scale and protected concerted activity to make sure that you hold either a corporation, an area, or a region or an industry. This is, I got to cut myself short. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan and the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Signing off.